It's time for a Big Blue Kickoff Live.
Nobody can ever tell you that you couldn't do it, because you did.
On Giants.com.
You know what I saw? New York Giant Prime.
And the Giants mobile app.
17-14 is the final. One touchdown, we are world champions. Believe it, and it will happen.
Part of the Giants Podcast Network.
Let's go out there like a bunch of crazy dogs. Have some fun.
Hello again, everybody, and welcome to Friday's edition of Big Blue Kickoff Live, presented by Cadillac, the official luxury vehicle of the New York Football Giants. We are coming to you from the Hackensack Medical Center podcast studio, Hackensack Meridian Health. Keep getting better. Paul Dottino and Matt Citak with you. I gotta memorize that whole open at some point in time. Okay, I gotta do it. But you know what it is? Because I do bookends Monday and Friday, it becomes difficult for me to do that.
Yeah.
You know, it was easier when I was doing back-to-back days or days that weren't separated by too many days. But when I'm Monday to Friday, no, the two separate. I can't remember this stuff. Anyway, we are here at 201-939-4513. That I can remember, our phone number, if you'd like to give us a call. And first things first, we'll talk Giants football for the next hour. They got the Packers coming up on Sunday at 1 o'clock here at MetLife Stadium. But first things first, we do know that the Giants had a bunch of guys not working today. And, you know, Mike Kafka said we'll get the status report this afternoon, but the list, a little bit concerning. We know that Jackson Dart's still in the protocol. Golston, Neal, Slayton, and Thibodeau not working today. Okereke is going to try to do some stuff. He told me yesterday in the locker room his shoulder was feeling better. He planned to practice today. He thinks the arrow's pointing up for the game. That remains to be seen. And Paulson Adebo is a go. That's a big deal because they haven't had him for the last couple of weeks, and that cornerback room has been thin, Matt.
Yeah, getting Paulson Adebo back is a massive boost for the whole defense, especially the secondary. Flott came back last week. You know, he had missed the one game because of the concussion. Having both of them back, that should obviously be very beneficial to the entire defense. You know, the Packers don't really have that number one wide receiver that a lot of teams that the Giants have faced this season do have. Jordan Love kind of spreads the ball around, even more so now that Tucker Kraft is done for the year. I guess Romeo Doubs would be. Yeah. He is their leading receiver, but he's not, you know, that bona fide stud number one receiver that we've seen the Giants face in recent weeks from some other teams. So it's definitely good to get Adebo back this week. Kafka would not officially announce, you know, any of those injuries that you just said, the guys that were missing practice as, you know, out or questionable, whatever. But he did make it seem like the guys that have been DNP all week are likely going to be ruled out, and the big names involved in that, I would say, obviously we already knew Jackson. He basically ruled Jackson out on Wednesday, the first time he spoke to the media, so no surprise there. But the two big ones I thought were Darius Slayton and Kayvon Thibodeau. You know, those two, it does not seem like, after 3 DNPs, does not seem like there's a good chance of them making it. You never know. But it seems like those two are headed towards being ruled out. And then the other one, he said Tyler Nubin was doubtful for Sunday. That is another kind of big one. You know, Giants just got Javon Holland back, and now it seems like Tyler Nubin is going to miss at least one game. Luckily, Dane Belton is there. Will step up, have another big role in the secondary. But yeah, Adebo back, massive boost. Hopefully. Obviously, they play different positions, but Adebo returning would, you know, soften the blow a little bit of Nubin likely missing this game.
Nubin's doing sprints out there. I don't know if that is a good sign or not, but maybe.
It's a neck injury. You gotta be extra cautious when it comes to
I know. The Packers do have one hugely significant injury. Jenkins, their starting center, 2-time Pro Bowl pick, who's very good at pass protection. He injured his leg last week. He is definitely not playing. We already know that. The Packers have already announced he has a significant injury. So that means Sean Ryan is going to wind up being their starting center. Big deal. Ryan basically has played mostly right guard this year. I'm going to put it kindly. He's just a guy. He's just a guy. Average player, not particularly great in pass pro, not particularly great in run blocking. You know, Josh Jacobs, I'm sure, would rather have his Pro Bowl center in front of him as he tries to plow through the Giants' defense. We'll see if this makes much of a difference or not, but that is a significant injury from the Packers side that is fresh, that is new. They've got a few other guys who've been hurt, but that one's a big deal, especially for Jacobs, who has run for over 600 yards, although less than 4 yards a carry. The thing about him is he's incredibly efficient, as we were talking about Cam Scatterboo when he came out of college, near the goal line. He has run for at least one touchdown in each of the Packers games, except one. He has had a rushing touchdown in 6 straight. You get near the goal line, Josh Jacobs is not going to let you settle for 3. He will get it past the goal line. He will get it into the end zone. So, without a starting center, maybe things change. I don't know. But that's significant because Love has not thrown a touchdown pass in the last 2 games. Their offense has been sputtering. They had a trouble in a 10-7 loss to Philly at home last week. The week before that, they had trouble in losing to the Carolina Panthers at home. People are really ticked off with their offense right now, and that's because their receiving core is banged up more than anything else. But now they've lost their starting center. So I don't want to just come right out and say that it's a beatable team, especially with their terrific defense. And I mean terrific defense. But this is not the Packer team that we thought they might be bringing to MetLife Stadium a month ago.
No, definitely not. One thing I will say is the receiving core is actually a lot healthier now than it was just a couple of weeks ago. The only notable receiver,
gimpy, though.
The only notable receiver that will not be suiting up this weekend is Jaden Reed, who broke his collarbone, I believe, in the season opener, all the way back in week 1. But Christian Watson is back. Dontavian Wicks is back. Romeo Doubs did suffer a chest injury in the Monday night loss to the Eagles, but he's been a full participant in practice this week, so he's obviously good to go. Matthew Golden apparently he did not play on Monday night, but apparently was very close to suiting up for that game. I would think that puts him on the better side of questionable for this game. He's been limited this week. So, yeah, you're right that, looking at the injury report, they have 5 different wide receivers listed, but they're all limited. So I do think all 5 of them will play. I mean, then we're also Dobbs, but Dobbs has been full. So, yeah, this offense is an offense that wants to run the football first and foremost.
Yeah.
100% with Josh Jacobs. You touched on it. He has not been the most efficient this year with his 3.8 average yards per carry. But when they get anywhere remotely close to the goal line, you know that the ball is getting fed to Josh Jacobs. And, they could give it to him. If they're inside the 10-yard line, they could give it to him 4 times in a row. I would not be surprised to see that at all come Sunday.
No. Why wouldn't you?
11 rushing touchdowns, second most in the NFL. He's been great in terms of punching the ball in. He's 3 games with multiple touchdowns. It's only 9 games into the season because the Packers have had their bye. He's only 4 touchdowns short of his career high, which he set last year with 15, which is a crazy amount of touchdowns. He's already got 11 in 9 games. So, and the Packers do rank in the top 10 in rushing attempts, while, again, the efficiency hasn't quite been there, but that hasn't stopped them from just continuously feeding Josh Jacobs the ball. They're going to do that again on Sunday. I do think that they will at least attempt to get Jordan Love going because of the struggles that you mentioned. I mean, 2 straight games without a touchdown pass is not good for any quarterback, but especially a quarterback of a team that, has Super Bowl aspirations this year. So I do think they're going to at least attempt to get him going. But with, again, with Adebo back, with, I guess, everyone but Nubin now healthy in the secondary, it's not going to be, hopefully not be just like a cakewalk matchup for Jordan Love. I mean, especially if the front can get pressure. I know we say this just about every single week.
I know.
Against every quarterback the Giants are facing. But Jordan Love's splits are significantly different when he's under pressure and when he's not under pressure. When
Correct.
he's not under pressure, that is when he's had basically all of his production passing this season. His numbers drop so significantly when the other team can get pressure on him. So, again, we say it every week, and it's going to be a little tougher with Kayvon likely out. But Brian Burns, Abdul Carter, Dexter Lawrence, like, giddy up. It's time to go.
Now, the criticism out in Green Bay, people are not very happy with this team at 5-3-1. Let me make that clear, especially after the last 2 home losses. The criticism out in Green Bay is that Matt LaFleur is actually relying too heavily on the run game because, as you mentioned, Love is very erratic when people get after him. And so they don't want him misfiring and having those accuracy issues that could derail their offense. They also are having a lot of trouble with their kicking situation. Brandon McManus, you guys know he's been around this league a long time and has a heck of a resume. He's only kicking at about 2/3 efficiency. I mean, I think his make percentage is 64% right now. He is having a lot of trouble. And that also has forced the Packers to leave points on the board. So offensively, they have had issues. Now, when they do run it, this is a number of folks that not going to make you too happy, especially if Kayvon Thibodeau is not playing for the Giants. They lead the National Football League when running off of right tackle or to that edge out to the sideline at 5.6 yards a carry on 42 attempts. That's where they will run the ball. Okay? Yes, they're going to go up the middle with Jacobs whenever possible. But then when they decide they want to stretch you, they will stretch you to the right side of their offense and the left side of your defense, and that's where they are going to make a lot of hay. And the Giants right now don't have a linebacking core that I would consider very stout against the run.
I was going to say that would be then Abdul Carter, his edge, because Brian Burns primarily lines up on the right side. But given all the injuries the Giants have at linebacker, when the Giants have had linebacker injuries earlier this year, we saw Abdul get at least some playing time at linebacker.
Inside.
Yeah. So now with Kayvon likely out and the injuries to the linebacker position, you can't have him play both.
No.
I don't know where. I would assume he will still primarily line up on the edge more than he will at middle linebacker, I would think.
I saw Carl Banks at lunch, and I asked him if he was ready to play this week. He said no.
Especially because we've seen Demetrius Flanagan-Fowle start to see a big uptick in his snaps at linebacker.
That's not his forte.
No, it's not. He was definitely brought in to be more of a special teams guy. But
yeah,
in the injuries have, led to him seeing more opportunity. I'd assume we might see some snaps with Abdul at, inside linebacker. I think if Kayvon does, in fact, miss this game, though, they got to put him primarily on the edge. Like, it's time for him to get the first sack of the season, first of all. The first full sack.
Yeah. Although he has reminded us he's lost a few because of penalties.
Of course. I think we all know that. But
yes,
at the end of the day, when you look at the stat sheet, it says half a sack.
I know what it says. I would also tell you folks that on the occasions when LaFleur lets Love do what he wants to do and air it out, this year, the Packers lead the NFL in deep shots over the middle with 21. Now, Love has only completed 10 of those 21 balls, but they are not afraid, on occasion, again, that's not their MO, but when they take a shot, they're going to take a shot to the deep middle. And without Tyler Nubin, it's going to be a little bit tricky for that Giants secondary because I don't honestly believe that Belton has Nubin's coverage skills. So if Holland is going to be trying to help out on a tight end, you've got to worry about, is Belton going to be able to help out on somebody who's going to be going on a deep post? I would probably think maybe the Giants will switch it up. Maybe Belton will play more strong safety this week, and Holland will play more free. Who knows?
Yeah, I mean, I guess we'll have to wait and see. I will say last week, the last 3 games actually, Belton has only allowed 1 reception in coverage, according to Pro Football Focus. Now, he has not been in 2 of the games. He saw, I would say, somewhat significant snaps. You know, in the second game against the Eagles, he had 28 snaps in coverage, and then against the 49ers, 29 snaps. Last week, it was only 12.
Right.
But nonetheless, you know, 1 reception in coverage, I think we'd all sign up for that. If you could,
as long as it's not a 65-yard
well,
touchdown.
Yeah, of course.
Okay.
Of course.
201-939-4513 is our phone number. And as always, if you're not listening to the show live, you can always get it as part of the Giants Podcast Network on the Giants mobile app, podcast platforms everywhere, and at giants.com/podcasts. And we will head to the telephones. And Kevin in Rochester, you're first on the program. Hello.
Hey, how you doing?
What's going on, man?
What's up?
Not much. I just want to talk about the coaching carousel and the game this weekend.
Yeah.
I hear some people saying that, we don't want McCarthy or Tomlin, and it's all about dart. They need to. Some of these fans need to understand. We can't kick the ball. We can't stop anybody on defense. We need a head coach that'll look over the whole entire team. Dart's a phenomenal player, but we have more problems than just making sure that, we want to make sure that he's going to be fine, but if we can't stop a nosebleed, we're not going to win a game. And we can't kick the ball, we're not going to win a game. So we need a head coach like a Tomlin or a McCarthy, someone who has that resume that says, okay, this is what we're going to do, this is what we got to do. My personal guy that I would want, if he comes free from Pittsburgh, is Tomlin. He's going to come in as soon as he walks into the building, 10 wins. As soon as he walks into the building, we know we got 10 wins.
Okay.
And
first thing you got to find out is he going to be leaving the building in Pittsburgh?
Right.
Because
Right.
I don't
That's the first
think it
thing.
will. I don't think that's happening. They've been talking about this for now 3 or 4 years. Tomlin's on his last legs, and it doesn't happen.
All I would say is they would be, in my opinion, pretty foolish to let him go, considering the success he's had for 20 years. I know everyone wants to point at, when was the last time he won a playoff game? He's at least gotten them there and gotten above 500. How many times?
Yeah, I know.
Every time?
in his career.
It's insane.
Yeah.
There's a lot to be said. I have great respect for Mike Tomlin. I mean, I won't talk about him being anywhere else at the moment. It's not appropriate. But I will just say to you, I have great respect for him and his track record. And I think that some of those Steelers teams weren't necessarily as good as he got them. I mean, you could say in a number of cases, maybe if it weren't for him, they wouldn't have even made the playoffs.
Right. And for McCarthy, he has good records too. And we don't want McCarthy. Well, hey, 12 wins is 12 wins. Yeah, he might get eliminated in the first round of the playoffs. We have to get that losing taste out of our mouth. No matter if first round, okay, let's get the losing taste out of our mouth, then talk about the first round of the playoffs.
Nobody would argue with that. I mean, right now things are not great. But
Right.
I would caution you of one thing. They're giving Mike Kafka 7 games. And he's been interviewed by, 6 or 7 teams now for head coaching jobs in the last 5 years?
Something like that.
It's a half a dozen for sure. There's a reason people keep calling him. You know, he has worked under Andy Reid as well, not just here with the Giants with Brian Daboll, but he did work under Andy Reid. He told us today he and Andy Reid have spoken, and he appreciates the support that Andy Reid has shown him. Mike Kafka is a guy who's going to give this thing his best shot. And what if he goes 6-1? What if he goes 5-2? What if he goes 7-0? Look, I don't think it's fair for any of us to assume that the Giants 2-8 is going to continue for the rest of the season. It may, but do you know for sure? What if this is some kind of miraculous turnaround? Doesn't Mike Kafka deserve the opportunity to at least show you what he can do?
That's true. That's true. But I think Giants fans, the indictment on him is he was on the Daboll, and it's 2-8. And I think the fans are blaming everybody.
Well, and I do understand the responsibility gets spread around, but now Kafka's calling all the shots. Let's see how it goes. And by the way, the coaching pool that's available today is going to be different than the coaching pool that's available in January.
Oh, 100%. And I agree with you that it's not exactly appropriate to talk about, head coaches that are working on other teams right now as their head coach, because it would require, that team letting that person go in order for them to even be a possibility.
Well, even a coordinator who's employed by somebody else.
You're right. Right now, if you want to talk about the guys that are not coaching at all in the NFL,
that's different.
That's fine. But I agree completely with you. Like, I know how, everyone is feeling about the season overall, but I'm not saying it's a whole nother season now, because it's definitely not. The Giants are 2-8, but I'm fully with you. There's 7 games left. It's only been a few days, but the first couple of days of his tenure as the interim head coach, Mike Kafka has at least come off to me is very impressive. He's handled himself very well with the media. He's shown more personality in the last couple of days than I've kind of seen in the last 3 years that he's been here.
Mm-hmm.
So all I'm saying is nothing's happening until after the season regardless. Give the guy a shot. Let's see what he can do. If the Giants continue to lose and nothing changes at all, then after the season comes around, we can talk about all these other candidates. But for now, let's give the guy who's in charge for the first time, let's give him a shot. See what he can do.
Okay, Kevin.
And about the game, and one more thing about the game on Sunday, I think it's going to look like the 49ers and the Packers when the 49ers ran the ball 15 times and Garoppolo only threw it 3 times down our throat. And that's what I'm afraid that it's going to look like this.
I understand, Kevin.
Believe me. I'm with you there. I'm afraid that Josh Jacobs is going to carry the ball 30-plus times on Sunday, and if the Giants don't show that they can stop it, then the Packers are going to just continuously feed him over and over and over again.
Yeah,
they're going to bring in Emmanuel Wilson and feed him, as we've seen the Giants struggled with team's number 2 running backs the last couple of weeks as well.
Thank you, Kevin.
So in that regard, I am fully with you, Kevin. Giants need to prove that they can stop the run. First and foremost.
Look, if I'm the Packers, this has got to be a 2-to-1 run-to-pass ratio. It has to be.
Yeah.
Why wouldn't it be?
They've already been going that way with Jordan Love, and that's without going up against.
Why would you change it against the Giants D that, by the way, is short on linebackers?
I'm with you.
Anyway.
By the way, we do just have a quick Packers injury update. One of their beat reporters, who is this? Dominique Yates. Has said that Lucas Van Ness, the defensive lineman, and Matthew Golden are both good to go, as is Christian Watson. No surprise there. Nate Hobbs, the cornerback, is out. And then in this, the reporter said Aaron Banks is currently staying inside, hasn't been on the injury report, so it could just be a rest day. It could be nothing, but at least right now, he's not at practice. Yeah,
Van Ness, they've got this new cheetah package is what the Packers call it. It's a pass rush package. I don't know why they came up with cheetah, but that's what it is. And they use Van Ness as a pass rushing defensive tackle in that formation with Gary and Parsons on the outside. They view it similarly to what the Giants have with their 3 pass rushers of Thibodeau and Carter and Burns. And they basically have Van Ness play a defensive tackle role in that particular schematic. All right, we go back to the phones, and Coach Marvin in Delaware is next on our show. Good morning, Coach.
Hey, how you doing, Paul and Matt?
We're okay. How are you?
What's up, Coach?
I'm doing okay. Kind of sad what happened with Dayball.
Yeah.
He's a good man and a good coach. As I said before, you can't be friends with people you're coaching or your coaching staff. I had a coaching staff behind me that supported me, and I supported them, and they believed in what I believed in. And, I think that kind of hurt him. Mike Kafka, I think he deserves a shot, and I agree with you, Paul. Let's see what he can do. He got 7 games to prove himself. He's got to be a leader of men, but not just for Jackson Dart. But you got to be a leader of men and show this team that he can lead them, and we'll see how that goes. But I did have some people that I had thought about Mike Caffer. Let's give him a shot, see what he says. Some of the other guys I'm not a fan of. Him, Belichick, and all these guys. I'm not ready to. I don't want to go down that road. But if Cleveland loses their coach, that's my guy after
Stefanski.
Kafka. Yeah, if he goes. But with Kafka and Stefanski, there's one coach that I've been thinking about for about a month and a half, and Carl Banks called them out on Tuesday. I think he called them out, and it crushed me because I've been saying this name for a while, and that's Matt Patricia, and as a defensive coordinator, if he's going to be free and if we move on. So those are the guys I like, and if you're going to have a young guy come in, Clint Kubiak is a nice name to people to pay attention. Those just names we're throwing against the wall. Those are my guys. I like them to, if they're going to go out, got to use the word if they're going to go out there and start looking, those are the guys, but they have to, I think they would have to bring someone like a Matt Patricia in with them.
Coach, the problem with this whole thing is that whatever they decide to do, the first issue that must be solved is how do they want to approach the head coaching job? Is that a CEO, or is that a more offensive-minded guy or a more defensive-minded guy? Is that somebody who is going to have previous NFL head coaching experience? Or is it possible that he could be another coordinator who gets his first head coaching job? Could it possibly be, if they go outside, that it's a guy who is kick butt at the college level? I mean, that's all got to be figured out before people even throw out any names.
Yeah,
exactly.
I'm with you. I feel pretty confident in saying I feel like whoever it is that ends up being head coach will have some coaching experience, some head coach experience, whether it is at the college level or the NFL level.
I would think so too. And of course, Kafka's going to get that now.
Yeah, just based off of honestly, the last 4 head coaches were all new first-time head coaches, and none really worked.
Mm-hmm.
So, I also think I wouldn't be surprised if at least one of the coordinators also ends up having some previous head coaching experience. I think they're going to emphasize the experience part. And again, we don't know what's going to happen. It's November 14th, and a lot can change between now and January 5th?
Mm-hmm.
But I think the leader of men is going to be one of the top priorities.
That has to be the top. It has to be somebody that can bring some authority into this organization and call the shots. And these guys that go through a wall for. It can't be a guy that just kind of like just in for the offense and not really into the defense, or into the defense and not in it for the offense, unless they're going to bring a really a good coordinator on either side of the ball to help them out. But you're going to have to be a leader of men and get them to follow you. It can't be, this guy that he likes certain guys, or trying to be a nice guy and make the guys like him. And I think that's where you lose your discipline on those teams. I think you can't be friends. You can't be friends with them. But before I go, I wanted to say 15 seconds. I have a kid that I've been following. He plays at St. Mark's High School here in Delaware, and he's got a playoff game today I'm going to see. His name is Teron Tippins Jr., outstanding freshman. So proud of him. Last week he threw 3 touchdown passes, and he's playing against the number 2 team today. So I'd like to wish him luck on the show.
All right, Coach. Appreciate it as always.
Right,
enjoy the game.
Take care.
Thank you, Coach. Also, I made one mistake. Pat Shurmur did have previous coaching experience with the Browns.
A cup of coffee, which didn't go well.
It did not go well in those 2 seasons.
It's interesting. I was thinking about this yesterday. Actually, on Wednesday, I thought about it. The Giants have been through 9 head coaches during my 43 years of covering the team, and I'm not counting Spagnuolo or Kafka as interims. 9. Here's the interesting part, and I think you'll find this rather, maybe just interesting. Of the 9 guys, the one who was hired to be head coach with the most impressive resume was Dan Reeves. He came in with Super Bowl appearances with the Denver Broncos. He got the Giants to one playoff in his first season, and then things went downhill the last 3 of his tenure here, and he was gone. Now, I tend to agree with you. I think it was probably be to my preference that the next guy has some NFL head coaching experience. Ironically, Bill Parcells had no head coaching experience. Tom Coughlin had no head coaching experience other than Boston College. It was not in the NFL. It was in the NCAA ranks. And even Jim Fossil, who led the Giants to a Super Bowl, had no head coaching experience.
But Coughlin did coach the Jaguars for a good stretch before the Giants.
You're right.
Sorry, not to
No. You're right. I was thinking of him as GM president. He was also coach at the same time. You're absolutely right. The point being, though, that the most impressive of the resumes was Dan Reeves.
Yeah.
And that did not work out so well. And again, Fossil and Parcells, you're right. Fossil and Parcells did not, for sure, have head coaching experience, and they both got the Giants to Super Bowls. So it is not a prerequisite, and it is not an automatic that qualification is going to turn this thing around.
Not at all. You look across the NFL at the most successful head coaches right now, and they come from all over the place. Some were first-time head coach. I mean, Sean McVay got hired at 31 years old, first-time head coach, one of the best coaches in the NFL now. And that was just one example. There are several examples I could give of first-time head coaches that are successful right now. And then there are also guys that were not first-time head coaches that got hired into their current jobs and have established themselves now in their second tenure as among the best coaches in the NFL.
This is so difficult. I mean, just setting the parameter of qualifications in itself is a puzzle. I mean, look at John Harbaugh. He was a special teams guy.
Yeah.
Nobody in their right mind would have thought that he would have gone on to have well over a decade of great success.
Yeah, that's why, I say my personal preference would be to get someone that does have some head coaching experience, but it's by no means like a necessity. Because as we've seen, there's just so many different ways that you could find a good coach in the NFL these days. It's not one path the Giants have to take. They need to just find the candidate that is the best fit for them, for this team, for this current team, for this organization, the front office. Everything's got to mesh together. That's why I say it doesn't have to be a guy that has just NFL head coaching experience. There are guys that are head coaches that have been a head coach at the college level that I think can and will be considered, come the end of the season. So
there have been guys who've done both.
Exactly. There's no one correct path to take. The Giants are going to have to walk down a whole plethora of paths and routes, and then figure out who they feel comfortable with, who's their guy.
We go back to the phones. Taylor in Alabama, you are next on the program. Hello.
Hey, guys. So glad I'm able to call in. I'm in Central Time, so it's kind of hard to catch you guys live at times.
That's okay. We're glad you called.
Appreciate your call today.
Thanks. Want to run something by you guys. I kind of just thought about it while listening to you guys live today. And this is kind of in the preference that I don't know how Debo and Floyd are doing injury-wise, but if they're both playing and our linebacker core is kind of depleted at the time, if we're going to put either Bellin or – sorry, I'm blanking on the safety right now.
Belton and Holland are the two safeties who will start.
If we're going to play them a little closer, kind of in that either star role, a little closer to the line, what if we put Banks as a safety kind of in the backfield? And that's only because is that he's always in the right position. He's just a little handsy and get penalties.
He also hasn't tackled very well, though. And if you have a safety that does not tackle well, you're asking for big plays.
I understand that, but I also feel like if you're at the point where your guys are kind of getting beat in the third line anyways, and the safety's the only one back there at the time, you're kind of asking for trouble anyway when that's the last line of defense. I feel like if he's a little better at the zone coverage, I feel like that might work if you have to play one of the other safeties downhill, if that makes sense. And I'll take that off the air. Thank you, guys.
Thanks for the call.
Thank you for the call, Taylor. My hesitation there would just be it's not been the best season for Deonte Banks this year, and he's only taken one snap at safety all season. He had one snap at free safety, in week 4 against the Chargers. Other than that, he has not played a single snap there all year. And he's only had 3 snaps at the safety position his entire NFL career. So if the guy who's been a corner his whole life, or at least the last however many 6 years going back to college, has now struggled to play his primary position, now to try switching it up more than halfway through a season, throwing him in a position that he just is not comfortable and has not played at all in, I just think that would be a pretty risky move.
Yeah.
And one that, could backfire pretty bad. If there's one, as you said, the safety's sort of the last line of defense. You miss a tackle and 8-yard slant route is all of a sudden going 75 yards to the house.
It's a shame because he is such a physically gifted player, and he does like to play physical football. But what we've seen over these last 2 seasons, as his play has been inconsistent at best and deteriorating at worst, we have seen that he doesn't seem to be the tackler that he was when he was a rookie. Now, I personally believe Tay Banks needs an offseason to clean his head out and to get himself square. I really do. I'm not going to give up on him. The talent is too high a level for me to give up on Tay Banks. He has a 4th year on his contract, which will come up in 2026. And I think you clean out his head during the offseason and you give him a chance to start fresh. I would hope, I don't know this, but based on the skill set, I'm going to put a lot of hope that he gets himself right and he becomes the player that the Giants drafted.
Yeah, I mean, to tailor the last caller's idea, if you want to try that in the offseason and give him a whole offseason to train and prepare for that, a training camp, preseason, that's a whole nother story. But I just don't think doing it in the middle of a season would be the right move. I feel like that would be putting a lot on Deonte's plate, and he's already, had his struggles this year playing the position that he's used to playing. I can't imagine it's going to go significantly better trying him out at a new position in Week 11.
All right. Giants take on the Packers Sunday at MetLife Stadium. For ticket information, go to giants.com/tickets. I'm sure there are still some available. Also, the Giants TV app is the official connected streaming app. It is free on Apple TV, Roku, Amazon Fire TV, and the Giants mobile app. And then, of course, as always, we invite you guys to click on the Giants Huddle, the program that has all kinds of Giants interviews and interviews with other NFL dignitaries, long-form interviews. Matt, I'm not sure what we have up there today. Do you know offhand?
Yes. Actually, we just posted a little bit before we came on air Mike Kafka's first sit-down one-on-one interview with Bob Papa.
Okay.
That got posted. I believe it's about 15-ish minutes, around there. I haven't even gotten a chance to watch it yet because, again, we posted it
We've been here
right before we
with
came
you
on
guys.
Air. But it is Mike Kafka's first one-on-one sit-down interview, so I'm sure he will provide some insight into, coaching philosophies. It's more of at least some of it, I would assume. Pearson, you produced it. I'm assuming some of it, at least, is about Sunday's game.
Yeah, it's definitely Packers preview, but it's also just kind of what he's learned from coaches and from his past, Andy Reid, Coach Dable.
Yeah. So when we are done here, I will be going upstairs and giving it a watch because it's, again, his first sit-down interview. So that's one. Who is the game preview this week?
Devin Singletary.
Yeah, we'll have Devin up later this afternoon.
Good stuff. All right, folks, so check out the Giants Huddle on all of your favorite podcast platforms. We go back to the phones. Ronnie in, I guess that's Savannah, Georgia. Hello.
Yes, that is. Hey, how you doing?
Okay, how are
you, Ronnie?
Good. Hey, listen, tell me if I have some issues. My boy Jackson Dart, I'm going to miss that dude, man. He has just...
They didn't trade him. It's okay. It's okay. He'll be back soon.
I'm with Ronnie. I'm going to miss him this weekend as well.
Yes, he just does something, man. He electrifies the room. He's adding another dimension, for the Giants fans. We're all excited. I'm sorry to see him hurt, but I'm going to miss that dude this week for sure. I haven't anointed him yet as our franchise quarterback, but I'm pretty close. That's one. The second thing is the state of the Giants. I'm happy for Jameis that he's going to get an opportunity to start. I think that's big. Maybe he will electrify. He'll electrify whatever crowd that we have there as Giants fans. But I'm looking forward to seeing him on Sunday. But I think the main thing is that I'm a little concerned about having a new coach named and also retaining a GM who I feel has done an average job, but I feel he could do better, especially in season picking up free agents. What's your thoughts?
Well, I think your question about Joe Shane, the general manager, is actually a two-parter. What you do in season is a lot different than what you do out of season because of the resources that you have, whether it's money, whether it's roster spots, whether it's trade capital. Those are like two separate questions. I'm going to assume you're suggesting because they haven't made any trades in season that you would have liked to have seen some. Now that I will
Correct.
just I will
100% correct.
I figured that's where you were going, and that's why I wanted to open up that box for you. At the moment, the Giants don't have very much space to take on, let's say, a star wide receiver. People wanted that at the trade deadline, right? It seems to me, with the way the Giants were going, when they lost the game, I told people that if they had beaten Denver, I would have probably been a little more aggressive in trying to go get a receiver because I think there was a chance that the season could trend upwards and something would happen. But once they lost to Denver, to me, the mudslide was starting to go downhill. And trading future capital for a receiver and then also have to doing some cap finagling with the money, it didn't make any sense to me. So I did not have a problem with the Giants standing pat and not making a deal for a receiver because of those reasons. And I appreciate the people who are itching for one, but once they lost to Denver, it didn't make a lot of sense to me.
Yeah, and I mean, if we're talking about the 4 seasons, since Joe Shane took over as GM, the only season that the Giants were, actually in the playoff race by the time of the trade deadline came around was that first season in 2022. And let's not forget, the Giants had no cap space whatsoever going into that year. Like they had to move stuff around just to get through the season. So that was the only year that it would have, I guess, made a lot of sense to potentially make a splash trade to bring someone in. But there was, as you just mentioned, no cap space whatsoever to be able to do that. The next couple of years, the cap situation was a little bit better, but the Giants were not in a situation where they were contending or competing for a playoff spot. And then how often do you see teams that are, completely out of the playoff race halfway through trade future draft assets that are going to be high up in each round for players, whether they're rental or not?
They already traded assets to move up to get Jackson Dart this year. They don't have a third-round pick in 26.
Yeah.
Because that was part of the Dart trade. So what did you have to give up?
Can I add one? Yeah, can I add one more? I don't mean to cut you off. I just want one more. How come it always seems, and I hate to use this team as an example because I really don't like them, but the Eagles, they seem every year to pick up players that impact their team. Is it because they have the cap space and we're doing something wrong and we don't have the cap space?
Well, part of it is that they're willing to push money significantly down the road. When their credit cards come due in the next year or two, you're going to see how little they can do because the maneuverability, it's not going to be there. They're going to suffocate under their cap.
Right. Yeah, we've seen it with a couple other teams the last offseason. The Saints for a decade did the same exact thing.
Right.
And then finally, I think it was this past offseason, it finally came to a head where they literally could not do anything because they were so far below or over the salary cap that they had to cut guys just to get under. We saw the same thing with Buffalo last year. They had to make significant cuts to their defense just to get below the salary cap. So it's working for the Eagles right now, obviously. And if you're a Super Bowl contender, obviously they won last year. They're one of the best teams in the NFL again this year. It makes sense to do moves like that. You're not worried about the future. You're worried about winning a Super Bowl right now. But if you're a team that's not truly contending for a Super Bowl right now, it doesn't make a whole lot of sense to push a lot of that future cap or to diminish the future cap space you have to make a sort of win now move.
And then Ronnie, the other item, and I'm just being blunt here. The Giants have not been – well, the Giants haven't been winning for a while, okay?
Correct.
So if you've got a couple of veteran free agents out there who can help you and they're going to come in on a minimum contract, they're going to go to a team that's really close to contending, a team that's got a real chance to win something. Chances are those kinds of guys who can give you production at really good value, they're not going to come to a team that they think might be under 500. It's just not going to happen.
Right.
All right? I appreciate the call, though, Ronnie. We got to run.
Thank you, man.
We got to wrap up a little bit early today because Devin Singletary is going to be coming off the practice field. They need the studio to tape the huddle that you guys are going to be listening to in just a little while. So that will do it for this edition of Big Blue Kickoff Live presented by Cadillac, the official luxury vehicle of the New York Football Giants. Coming to you from the podcast studio presented by Hackensack Meridian Health. Keep getting better. It's the Giants and the Packers, Sunday, 1 o'clock at MetLife Stadium. Pre-game coverage on WFAN begins at 11 a.m. We'll see you next time.